My husband disappears exactly 1 minute to midnight every night, to where you will be shocked when you find out, because I was just as gobsmacked. Story time. When I used to date him, I never actually stayed over at his house. So I've never actually experienced this. When we got married, the first few months was lovely. Everything was fine. Then after that, I started noticing that he wasn't there early hours of the morning. I would wake up to go to the toilet and he's not there. I would wake up to go get a glass of drink. He's not there. And I was wondering what was going on. One night I woke up and I saw that he wasn't there. I went around looking around the house. He wasn't there. But I noticed that the front door was left slightly open. Then I went back to bed. He returned back the next morning and I asked him where he had been. He looked at me and said, "You must be dreaming because I was next to you all night." I knew very well that this isn't true, because this isn't just the first time that this has happened. So I decided to investigate because I didn't know what was going on at this point. Anyway, I pretended to be asleep. He came in, he went to bed. Exactly 1 minute to midnight, he stood up, walked straight to the door. It was as if something was controlling his body. It was as if it wasn't himself. I saw a completely different man to the man that I am married to. Anyway, I decided to follow him. He walked straight for a couple of minutes. He never looked around. He never, turned around to check. He just walked straight as if something was carrying him and not himself. I followed him. He went through these houses and then into this dark, narrow way. I didn't even know this place existed. Then I had to put my lights on to follow him. And guess what? When I looked up, I didn't see him. But I turned around to go back. On the ground, I saw this glowing sign on the ground. And something within me said, "Don't step in there." I quickly moved back. Then I ran back home. I went to bed. I couldn't even sleep. And I woke up only for him to be next to me. When I woke up in the morning, he was fast asleep. I just went down to the kitchen as usual. I stood there for hours, but this time it felt like there were certain things following me. I felt like there were people following me. You know, when you sense like figures in your presence. I could hear heavy breathing. I didn't know what was going on. Then he tapped me on my shoulder as if nothing happened. He smiled and kissed me and he said, "Good morning." I made him breakfast. We sat there and we ate. But this time it was unusual, very quiet, but he still maintained his smile. Then he asked me, "You followed me last night, didn't you?" Still smiling. At this point, I stared at him blank. I didn't even know what to say, what to do. I quickly went to the bedroom. He came in and we started chatting. He asked again, "You followed me last night, didn't you?" At this point, I just gave an excuse and I said, "I'm not well, I just need to rest." He left for work. And guess what? That night, I decided to investigate where he went because he had disappeared. I don't know what that glow was. I didn't see any houses, nothing. But where on earth did he disappear to? I wanted to get to the bottom of what that glow was on that ground. What I saw, people, I wish I never actually went looking for him. Go to part 2, please. So I decided to investigate. I wanted to know what was going on, why he was disappearing, same time every night, where he was disappearing to, where he disappeared when I saw him too. So I went to bed very, very early, more than usual. I told him I wasn't well. He followed up, but I wasn't sleeping. He read a few books and then he went to bed. I went half an hour before a minute to midnight because I knew this is the time he leaves. So I followed the exact same path. I remembered the path like an imprint in my head. I followed the path and I got to the place he disappeared. This time it was weird. I could see a house, unusual looking house, stood in between these massive trees. Bear in mind, it wasn't there before, the night that I followed him. So I was curious, but then there was no light, nothing. I hid next to the trees and I waited and waited. All of a sudden, I see the curtains open, the lights turned on. So I creeped and I got closer. When I looked inside, I saw my husband sitting at the living room, comfortable, like it is his house. He's familiar with this environment. I was shocked. I didn't know why he was doing that. I didn't know what he was doing there, why he was there. But I knew I left him in bed at home. So how the hell did he get there? A few minutes later, I see this very young, beautiful girl walk in, kissed and hugged my husband. They chatted and laughed. She brought him food that I make, similar food that I make him. This is what she brought him. I was confused. At this point, I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't know who this woman was. But you know what the weird thing is that? I decided to take my phone out to record it. As I was recording, I looked, but I saw that I could see my husband, his face, everything. But the face of that woman was non-existent. There was no face. I couldn't say anything. No eyes, nothing. It was as if everything was molded like a piece of clay. People, I didn't know what was going on at this point. So I turned my phone and then I re-recorded again because I was thinking maybe something is wrong with my phone. I saw exact same thing. As I was going through the video, guess what? I looked back up. The woman was stood at the window, staring straight at me. I didn't even wait. I made a run for it. I ran as hard as I could. But guess what? I got home only to find my husband sleeping in bed like he had never even left. This even freaked me out more. And I went to bed. What happened next, people? I'm sorry to drag this, but I need to split it in 3 parts because the video is far too long. So please go to part 3 because you do not want to miss what happened next.